This episode is brought to you by High Point Market. Welcome to the Design Dash podcast, your guide to designing a life you love. Join us as we explore the keys to living the life you want without compromise.
Welcome back to the Design Dash podcast. I'm Laura Umansky, your co-host, here with Melissa Grove.
Hello.
And we are asking one question today, as we have been doing. What is one question affecting our industry that can help our listeners? So today's question is, who is your ideal client? Who is your avatar? How do you know? And how narrow should you get when you're thinking about talking to this client, this avatar? So one question, who's your avatar? Who is your ideal client? Where do we start? I feel like we've been in business 20 years, so I know who mine is, even though we like to go back to this time and time again and say, is this still our client? If you've never identified who your ideal client is, why do you need to do that? And how do you do it?
We're a service-based industry. So who you work for is probably the most important question that you need to be answering, I think, with your marketing. And I think for us, and the reason why we revisit it too is because I think that your ideal client can change. I think that it can change over time. It can change as you add new services. It can change as the market changes. I think most of our listeners would agree that this industry has changed immensely, even in just the past 5 years. So I think the first thing that we do, when we're taking a look back at it, is we start with the projects that we've already done. Now, of course, that's easy for us to say because we've been in business for so long. But I think we would probably just take a look at maybe like the last 2 or 3 years, maybe even 5, simply because our projects are so big. And then what I do is I will just write them all down. We're probably taking a look at this together. What was the project type? How did they find us? Maybe we were taking a look at scope. How profitable was it? Is it the kind of project that I would take again? I think that it's so easy to just say oh my gosh, this was a huge revenue project, but I don't want to take another huge revenue project if it was really hard on the team, if that client was really, really difficult, and if it brought us zero joy.
Yeah. Or
So
if the profit was lean too.
yes, so
You could have
I
a
want to
huge
take a look
revenue
at
project with lean profit.
yes. So profit is obviously the more important number than revenue, I think. We want to make sure that we have really good margins on furniture, that we weren't cutting a ton of time on billing, that they were just really easy to work with. And I think that they also sparked a creative joy for the team because that's why we're all doing it, right? So I just
Yeah.
want to make sure that, your biggest project isn't always the best one. Um, and then, of course, we're taking a look at demographic information too. How old are they? Are they married? Do they have children? What's their household income? But then I also really like taking a look at their values. How did they make decisions? Were they really fast? I like working with the people who are really fast decision
People
makers
that are decisive. Yes, that's always
who
nice.
aren't slow. Maybe they've already tried a designer and it didn't work out. Yeah,
Yep.
those kinds of things. Maybe they've never worked with a designer before, or maybe they've already worked with a builder that we've really enjoyed working with. There are all of these kinds of just points of contact that I think really separate a great, wonderful, ideal client from a client who maybe made your firm a ton of money, but maybe the project just didn't speak to you creatively.
Right. And sometimes we're going to take those projects anyway, right? If they're
Sure.
super profitable, and that's just the reality of being a business owner. So if you're doing that, don't feel bad. It is just something that we do. But yes, we do look at this client matrix of when we're deciding to take a project, and it's very much a two-way street. I don't care if you're starting out day one or if you're 20 years in like we are, you should be interviewing that client as much as they're interviewing you because you want that good fit.
Yeah.
And like Melissa said, we go back all the time and think who is our ideal client? And we think about this person as it is a person. It's an individual. So we're not
Yeah.
just talking about this vague, nebulous group. It is very much like an individual that we're describing. And so we do look back on our past projects and we're like, okay, which ones did we like the most? Which were profitable? What would we say are the most successful just on multiple points, like scoring points?
Yeah.
And then we can pull that individual out of that. And it could be that that person is Mary and she has a young family and multiple homes and she loves fashion and fitness. And this is actually part of our avatar. Um, Loves design and is creative, but really trusts our guidance and values what we do. And so that's all part of our avatar, or at least one of them. We do have multiple. But I think what helps me is when we're talking about marketing, we're marketing to that person
Yes.
because we've determined that's who we want to work with. And so we're always talking, and that's who likes working with us. And so we're always talking to that individual. Um, what spurred this topic is I was meeting with one of our Design Dash community members last week who is doing the work right now of identifying who her avatar is because she's kind of at a stuck point where she's like, I'm getting this type of project that I'm not enjoying. I don't love it anymore. And it was great to get me started, but now I'm, 4 years in and I want to elevate my business. And so we started just talking about this one avatar who she feels like she should wanna work with, and
Mm.
I say should because we always are like, "I should do this and I should do that." Should you really? Why?
Should is a thinking error. It's not right.
Yeah, and so, like, by the end of this hour-long one-on-one call, we had come up with a completely different avatar that she was like, "Obviously, that's who I should be
Yeah.
working with." And it was so far removed from who she thought she should be working with. But it was someone she was excited about. She's like, I know how to go after this avatar. I'm comfortable with them. I've been successful in the past with this kind of business relationship, working relationship. And I'm like so excited about it.
Good. Yeah.
And to me, that was like a light bulb like, God, you were not excited at the start of this call. You were dragging. And I think that's a big indication. If you're thinking about your avatar and you're already exhausted, that's probably the wrong person.
Right. And I mean, you bring up such a great point because, yes, we often think, okay, well, I need these high end residential clients. Sure, you do. But if you have never gotten that client directly, like you've worked with a builder or maybe an architect, then you need to be messaging to builders and architects. That's who you're speaking to.
That's your avatar right now.
Hmm.
And that can change over time as you get further into those relationships, and maybe then you're working with their client.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's, I think, a good point, though, is like when you're looking for, okay, who am I marketing to? Who do I want to work with? If it is an architect or a builder, do they share that same end user that you do want to work with?
Right.
Who are they selling to? Because if it's down market and you're like, I don't want to go back to, working with middle of the road clients that weren't bringing me joy and I'm not doing the kind of work I wanted to do, don't go after those guys. If they share that client, they're not for you. You want to like keep moving up to where you want to be.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that brings up an important point is that it can change over time.
Hmm.
What we've actually done is, yes, there is this ideal client profile, but then there's also a negative client profile as well. There are just boundaries that I think we have to set for ourselves that when those kinds of things do crop up, because sadly, a lot of them don't crop up in the business development process. They're cropping up maybe 2 to 3 months in working with somebody. We realize, okay, this isn't going to work. And it can be something as simple as you can't text me 20 times in an hour. Like that's just not going to
Yeah.
work. Don't work that way. And you might think, well, that's something that I can handle. But I really feel like that's such a slippery slope too to accept doing something like that. um, and there are other things too. Like for us, since we're hourly, clients who request later on doing a fixed sum never goes well. Never goes
Mhm.
well. And I think it's one of those things that you don't know until you take it on. You got to learn from that mistake. You're not taking ideal clients on every time. Like we're still a business. This is the real world. But I do think that over time we begin to realize, okay, I know I can't take that client on anymore, or I'm going to have a really bad time on this project.
I will have a mental break.
And I think that that's just as important too. Like we have those
Yeah.
big glaring red flags where maybe everything else is wonderful with that client and it could be that project just looks so wonderful, but there are just some things that it's a boundary that we can't cross.
Give me some examples of boundaries. What have we set?
And
Especially
big
like on the front end when we're interviewing, what are some things we're looking for that are like, that is a green flag, move ahead versus red flag? Like that positive versus negative avatar.
I mean, I think a big one is attitude. You know, I
We want to work with kind people.
we wanna work with kind people who are patient, who are going to understand the pace at which we work, and that's not say, "Okay, well, we won't work with other people like that." I mean, we won't, but that's because they will find a designer who works really well with what they want, and that's just not us.
Yeah,
Um,
so timing is a big part of it because if they're like, we need these design selections yesterday. Yes, we get that. It is urgent.
yeah,
But for us, we're not going to be successful with you if all we care about is urgency and timing.
yeah,
Like that may be your reality and you're going to find a designer that's like, I can get that for you now and they love working that way. For us, we need time. And that is not a good fit for everybody. And I haven't always been that way. I used to be the design firm that was like, oh my God, you need that last week. Of course I can do that for you now. And I just worked myself into the ground. And over time, I'm like, that doesn't work. Or the team worked themselves into the ground and then they were pissed and like, ooh, that sucks. That's not a good place to be. So over time, we take less of that because we're aware.
yes, yeah. And so again, I
Yes.
think that's another great example of, that avatar has changed and why it's so important to revisit this exercise because you don't want to build your business on clients you don't want.
What's the first thing you should like if you've never built your ideal client persona, ICP, is that right? Is that the right terminology?
I hate those marketing buzz terms, so I just say ideal client, but yes.
Your ideal client. If you've never thought about or built your ideal client profile, what would that look like?
It's just like describing a person. I mean, we look at ours, we give this particular persona a name, she has an age, she has a background. So all of that demographic information, age, are you married? Did you go to college? Do you have a job? What is it? Those kinds of things. But then we also take a look at the psychographic information. So, what does this person value? I think one of the most important things that I look at as a marketer is how did this person find us? Did they come to us via a builder, via an architect? Do they come to us through social media, which a lot of our best clients do?
Like, where are they hanging out? Yeah.
Which suggests to me, okay, whatever we're posting on there is getting us really good clients. So let's imitate that messaging and
Do
keep
more of
doing.
that.
Want to keep finding those people, and I think that's what you're doing when you build this. It's just like I want to know everything that I can about this person that's relevant in a marketing way, so I can duplicate that marketing messaging and find more of these people.
Okay. And so is there like a step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 to identify this? Or do you feel like it should just be like innate?
Um, I mean, I think a good part of it is innate. Like there's a good gut instinct, I think, with really good business owners who understand. Okay, I know who I'm going to work
Who
really
I'm
well
talking to.
with.
Right.
But I think too, it's also really results and data driven. You could again just go back, take a look at your past projects, your best projects from the past maybe 3 to 5 years. Hopefully you have that much data. Even if you just have one really good client, that's all you need to build this profile. And I would say, yes, the demographic information is important, but the most important pieces are how did they find you? That's it.
And
And why did they decide to work with you more than anybody else? And those are the kinds of questions that you should be asking in business in the business development stage.
you know what I found so interesting too about working with this community member last week is she has this incredible resume
Mhm.
and her website like glossed over some of the most important parts of what she could offer her client, like her ideal client. She was very focused on serving everyone.
Sure.
Like, I don't want to count anyone out. I want to be able to, like, I don't want somebody to not come to me because I am too specific, which I think could be a pitfall, really. Like, it's almost like the more you niche, the more your client that you're talking to that you want to work with is going to find you. Is that right? Is that
I'd
the
say
right assumption?
I'd say in the beginning, absolutely, for sure.
You
Try to
now.
get those people who really want to evangelize your business almost that like once they find you, they're telling everybody about you. And in order to find those people, I think you have to get incredibly relevant to them and speak to them in
Mhm.
a very specific way. Once you've been in business for 20 years, like we have been, then it's like fair game. You can do whatever you want
Get more
to.
general.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I found that really interesting because her profile could be like massage to talk to that exact client that she wants. But she was really ignoring parts of it that were so important to her ideal client. So
Yeah.
maybe it's even like taking a fresh look at your website verbiage or your LinkedIn profile or whatever it is, and just making sure that you're playing up those parts of your background that really speak to that avatar.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Because
thought
with
that was
somebody like
important.
there's nothing more exciting than when you connect with somebody that's a stranger that gets you. Like that's what people want. This person gets me. I don't want to be got by everybody. I want to be I want to be with, these five people who are really close to me who understand me really, really well. And we're in such an intimate business that I think that can be the deciding factor it, between you and another designer.
Yeah. And we're not saying that that person has like you have a new potential client coming in, they do not have to be the perfect avatar. They do not have to be a mirror image like of Mary. Um, but I think that they should have some of the same traits. And like for
Yeah.
me, the most important thing when they're coming in is that they really value what we do. I'm not selling them on hiring a designer. Like they're coming to me because they know they want to work with us and they see what we've done for other clients like them and they're like, "Ooh, I want that too." I think the ones that I have taken on and regretted it later are
Mm.
typically those that really don't see the value in what we do, but they feel like they should work with a designer. And
I
I'm
get
trying
you.
to convince them that they should. Like, I don't want to have to convince anyone. Like, we offer a valuable service. Do you see that or do you not?
Right, yeah, and if they don't, oh my gosh, you're just gonna be proving that a lifetime of that project, and it's just not a good
It's
position to
hard,
be
man.
in. I think one of the big reasons why we do have this, ICP or this avatar is because I would craft all of our marketing messaging to that person, to that particular person. And yes, you're going to get other people who aren't exactly ideal and who aren't exactly that. But when you craft that kind of messaging to be relevant to that person, man, you're going to get pretty close.
Yep, I agree. And I think sometimes we would get a potential client that comes in and we're like, wow, are we saying something wrong on our website or on our
Yeah.
social media?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
how does this person think that we're for them? Like, where is that coming from? So if you're getting that, don't worry. It happens. Like, you're going to get outliers and you may get a lot of them. But as you're honing your messaging and you're talking to your ideal client, you're going to get more of that over
Yeah.
time. But we
And
still get outliers.
I have a great example for that. So we like to share all of the behind the scenes and the progress of what's going on with the project. Well, we get started fairly early. So we're there when homes are in framing. And when we initially started to share those kinds of images, we got inundated with potential new clients saying like, "Oh, okay, thinking that we were a design build." And so then
Right. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
and I even had like a couple of potential clients where I had to say, "Well, we work really successfully with other builders. We can help you with the bid negotiations." And some of them just felt so offended because they'd had this expectation that, we built for
We're
them.
going to build their house. Yes.
And
No.
then that wasn't true. And that was an immediate just barrier to building any kind of trust. So now, we have to communicate. Like we weren't thinking at the time to communicate in the caption, like, "Hey, we're not doing this construction." You just wouldn't think about it
Right.
because we incite so much. But those kinds of things really helped me to understand. Okay, like I'm developing, like our client, especially with Instagram now, our clients are developing such a close relationship with us before they ever talk to you, Laura. I mean, they know where you live, where you vacation, and what you're inspired by, and
Yeah.
and I think that when you can set that expectation and it's met or exceeded, man, you get to really start off on this great footing.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'd forgotten that we had people reaching out because they thought we were builders. Oh my
Yes, and I
gosh.
was like, "Where is this coming from?" And it was
Right.
because
No, right.
we'd been like,
For
we
the projects and training.
passed.
Yeah. And yeah, I love showing that behind the scenes and the process. But yes, getting really specific about what we're actually doing there was clearly important.
Right.
And that's a good point too, is that it's not just like showing the behind the scenes or the beautiful final image. They do develop a relationship with you. And I think that's also what helps us to attract that client that we're looking for. Cause we are
Sure.
showing them, oh, I'm here or I'm there, or this is what I'm interested in, because they're interested in that too.
Right.
And so we are going to those places or showing ourselves in those places that our clients also like. And so that makes them feel like, oh, okay, they get me already. So, like, let's say your avatar, your ideal client is an architect. They may want to see that you are going to like the National AIA convention and you're interacting with people like them, or you are on site doing a framing walk with an architect you're working with. So they're like, oh, they work with another architect. They get what I'm looking for. Or your client's a builder. You're part of the builder association, or you're going to their events and you're seen with them, or like you're even posting a flat lay showing like, hey, I'm putting together this package. For a spec home with this builder I'm working with, and I'm super excited about this. Something like that. I don't
Mhm.
know. I'm making things up at this point. You do this better than me,
All of
but
that works. All of that works.
but just talking to that person, no matter who they are, you're showing yourself showing up where they would show up authentically,
Yes.
not faking it. I think that's important because that goes back to the
Right.
should. Like, oh, my client really or this ideal person that I've invented loves going to a super fancy. Maybe they're going to polo matches. I don't know. I'm not going to a polo match. I don't want to go to a polo match, but I would go to like an art event or a gallery opening. Those kinds of things would be more authentic to me. I'm not going to show up at a polo match just because my client would.
Yes, and
Shannon may in our office.
don't get into marketing that you don't want to do. Um,
Right.
it's just not any
No.
fun.
No, it's not fun, and then you're just standing on the side of a polo field feeling awkward in a hat because someone you felt like you should be there, like, I'm not doing that.
Right, and
Um,
then I mean, and then it ends up just being a waste of time because you didn't enjoy it. And I think, I mean, you have a business, you can enjoy parts of it. I mean, not all of it is going to be sunshine and rainbows, but you have a lot of decisions around the marketing that you want to do, and I can guarantee you, there's something around marketing that you actually enjoy. And
yeah.
because you enjoy it, people will see that it brings you joy, and it will bring them to you.
Do I like going to a restaurant in Paris? 100%. Do my clients? Yep. So I will show that on my stories. Oh, I'm hanging out in Paris, or we're going to the flea market in Paris, or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be that city, whatever, LA, your city that you're in. Your clients are hanging out in those same places that you love.
Mhm.
Okay. I mean, I feel like we've talked this ideal client, this avatar, this ICP to death.
Yeah, I think it's the most important thing though, but before you start any of your marketing, you have to figure out who this person is because that's the person that your marketing is speaking to.
And if it
And
feels difficult, maybe you have the wrong ICP.
oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Don't force it. What feels natural to you? Give yourself some grace and know that you can change in the future
Yeah, and then it will change probably.
and that it should. All right. Thanks for joining us. And we'd love to hear from you if you have done this work and you feel like it is going really well, or maybe you're having some challenges. Ping us. We want to hear from you. Thanks so
Thanks
much,
for
guys.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to check out our next podcast coming live next week on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. In the meantime, you can find us and more wonderful stories like these on designdash.com. And make sure to follow us at Design Dasher on Instagram and TikTok. Till next time.